YouTube, what's going on? It is your boy Dell with another DWT, and today we're going to be talking about Triple H and the Attitude Era. I may be late to the party on this one, but the conversation everyone seems to be having is, was Triple H a main guy or the guy in the Attitude Era? I'm simply going to put it and say no. Triple H was not the main guy in the Attitude Era, but he was a pillar. He was one of the guys. He was a driving force in the Attitude Era. A lot of arguments that I'm hearing is he wasn't the guy because Stone Cold and The Rock and Vince McMahon, and he was just kind of a role player. He had a role to play. He was the main antagonist in, at least in the wrestling world. People keep saying, oh, Vince was the biggest heel. Yes, Vince was Stone Cold's biggest obstacle. That was Stone Cold's biggest ops. If you look at it, if you go back and we do a little history lesson, back in 96 at the King of the Ring, it was Triple H's spot to win. And then they had the curtain call, and Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall did what they did at Madison Square Garden, and someone needed to be punished. And that person was Triple H. So we held that punishment. Again, it did look like he was Shawn Michaels' lackey. You know, they were doing DX. Shawn Michaels was WWE champion. Triple H was European champion, which Shawn Michaels gave him. And they were doing DX. So at that point, Shawn Michaels was the main event guy. And Triple H was more or less upper mid card, right? And then we have feuds with Triple H and The Rock. We have the DX versus the Nation. You have things like that already happening. And then the transition period between Shawn Michaels dropping the belt to Stone Cold, which happened in 97, which was for the main event at WrestleMania. And we fast forward a little bit because you know The Rock and Stone Cold were having feuds for the IC Championship, and that was 97. So everyone had their turning point. So again, Rock joins the Nation in 97, and that's when his charisma starts to pop off. That's when he drops the Rocky Maivia moniker, and he becomes The Rock. And then you can see the stardom triggering, and he was a great heel. Austin and The Rock, that was the main playing field for the upper mid card. Let's call that upper mid card because we still had Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Those guys were feuding. Guys were at the top. You had your Kevin Nashes, you had your Undertakers, you had your Psycho Sids, right? So as we move the needle forward, Rock leaves the Nation, and then he ends up winning the Survivor Series where he joins the Corporation. And again, The Rock he was heel, but he wasn't in the Corporation long. It was about 5-6 months, and that imploded, and then he became The Rock. So we got to look at where everything was happening in relation. Triple H was in the mix. Triple H was still upper mid card. He's still having matches, tag team matches when he's with The Undertaker versus The Rock and Stone Cold. He's in the mix. He's not lost in the shuffle. But in 1999, right, that's definitively when Triple H said, okay, I am the game. We can go back and look, and he's taking what's his. It doesn't matter. No one's going to get in his way. This is not about anyone else. It's not about China. It's about him. He is the game. He declared himself the game. Granted, he didn't win the SummerSlam match because that's the conversation. He did not win that triple threat SummerSlam match, but he won the championship the night after. It's all about character development when we look at where everyone was. Austin had that at the King of the Ring. Then he had his feuds with Bret Hart, and then he eventually beat Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. Then we have The Rock feuding with Austin, who's already over. Rock already has his charisma, he has his energy. And then ultimately, Rock moves on. Rock becomes IC champion because Stone Cold gives him the belt, and then Stone Cold moves on to bigger and better things. Triple H, 99. So you have 97, 98, 99. These are in progression of each other. Then you have Triple H becoming the game, winning his first championship, and then he loses, and then he ends up getting the championship back in the six-pack challenge where the deck was stacked against him. We can't pretend he wasn't there. We have the Triple H McMahon Helmsling era where he's running the show. He's the main antagonist at that time. Vince is in the mix. It's not like Vince is breaking down everyone. It's Triple H who's terrorizing everyone. He's in the mix with Kane, Undertaker, the Radicals, The Rock, everybody. Everything was running through Triple H. Remember, this was the time when WWE was doing Raw and SmackDown. So he was running both shows, and they had a lot of back and forths. You had a lot of Rock and Triple H's. We have The Rock versus Triple H at Judgment Day in the Iron Man match, which he wins because Shawn Michaels lays the stiff sweet chin music on The Rock, and then they had other issues in the past. But Triple H was there. He was a part of everything. If you look at the time, look at the SmackDown games. SmackDown, he wasn't on the cover, but he was on the disc. SmackDown 2, he's on the cover. SmackDown, Just Bring It, he's also on the cover, prominently featuring The Rock, but Triple H is on the cover. Shut Your Mouth, Triple H is there, and he comes back and he wins the Royal Rumble around that time, which is 2002 Royal Rumble, and he gets a monstrous pop. We can't forget about that. And then we slowly move on to the Ruthless Aggression era. Triple H played a key part. We can't rewrite history. It doesn't matter how much you like him or you dislike him. Triple H was a part of the Attitude Era, and he played a very prominent role. Are we also not going to remember that he was a part of the two-man power trip after Austin turned heel and they beat the hell out of The Rock in that cage match on Raw? We cannot forget those moments because he was a part of history. Austin was WWE champion or WWF champion at the time, and then Triple H was IC champion, and then they became tag team champions together. Two-man power trip. How can you not be a prominent figure and your title, the name of your faction is two-man power trip? They beat Undertaker and Kane to become tag team champions, and they held all the gold until Triple H more or less blew out his quad. Then he came back. We can't rewrite history to make it look like he wasn't doing anything. Triple H had plenty of feuds with Mankind to the point where he had to take Mick Foley had to take the Mankind moniker and push it to Cactus Jack, where he ultimately lost at Hell in a Cell. They had the street fight. Triple H won. Pedigree on the tax. 1, 2, 3. Pushing it to another level, they went Hell in a Cell. Another iconic match. And it wasn't just because of Mick Foley. It was because of Triple H, his character, the role he played. Never mind COO Triple H and how you feel about what he was doing. He played a key factor in what was happening. He was a part of a lot of major storylines. We can't sit down and say he wasn't. Was he the man? We realistically know no one gets higher than Stone Cold and The Rock. That's bar none. The Undertaker was a part of the Attitude Era, and he's just been that guy. Just straight up. Undertaker's just been that guy from the 90s till he retired. We already knew what it was with him. Kane came in hot, and we knew what to expect from him because he's Undertaker's brother, and they promoted him correctly from the entrance of the Hell in a Cell, pulling the cage door off, Tombstone Piledriver, and then we get a good classic at WrestleMania 14. It took 3 tombstones to put Kane away. I don't want to digress too far about what's happening in the Attitude Era, but Triple H in itself, he was a main factor in the Attitude Era. Whether you like it or not, whether you like what he's doing today or not, we can't dispute that. He was one of the guys. He was in every program. I want to hear more comments to see if you guys disagree or agree with what I'm saying, but we cannot rewrite history. Peace.